What is up, everybody? This is welcome to the Lakers Outsiders podcast. We're live, as always. The Lakers lost again. I'm your host, Gary Kester. Joining me, per usual, nowadays. After we went a pretty long stretch there, Matt, where we didn't know where you were, but you're back. How's it going, man?
I actually missed, but yeah. This is like my third straight podcast.
I know, man. We're on a winning streak. Like we're moving up. Wish we could say the same about the Lakers, but you know. So so for those of you that didn't get to watch the game, Matt didn't get to watch the game either. He was preoccupied elsewhere, probably trying to fend off Harrison from, causing him to disappear again. But just for fun, Matt, go ahead. You didn't get to watch the game. Just try and recap the game.
Based off the box score, it looks like nothing. From what I can gather, DeAndre Williams 21 minutes. What's new? So it looks like I missed nothing. Honestly.
Basically, if you've seen any other Laker game this season, you could recap tonight's game, with the exception of the Nets game because the Lakers won that game. But it was pretty much the same story. Lakers lost. They fell to 1-6 on the year. So great start, guys. And it was funny because before the season, when you looked at the Lakers' schedule on paper, you noticed a lot of road games, but you noticed a lot of winnable games as well. And yet here we are at 1-6. Matt, did you expect them to start this slowly?
No. Predict these first 7 games, I would have said 3 and 4, and I would have been fairly confident that they could win at least 3 of these first 7 games because, like you said, even though a lot of them have been on the road, they've been very winnable games. Like a game like the Nets game was one that I actually thought they win, and guess what? They did. Dallas, I thought they had a shot, but I did not this poorly before the season.
Yeah, I mean they've been competitive in a few games here and there. I think really just based on their young talent alone, and kind of helps to play a little lesser competition. It's not like they're playing the Warriors or the Clippers or the Spurs or teams like that, So I think that certainly helps. But yeah, I mean if the Lakers can't beat some of these teams, it's going to be rough sledding when they play the elites in the Western Conference. So we'll talk a little bit about tonight's game. Obviously, we pretty much recapped it as the same as all the other games. But there were some bright spots for the Lakers. I mean, not many, but Kobe sat out tonight, which was kind of surprising given how late it was. But Metta World Peace got the start, and he actually played really well. He shot the ball pretty well tonight, right?
4 for 4 from threes. I mean, that's not something that I would ever expect from Metta World Peace at this stage of his career.
I don't think I expect that in any stage of his
career. Yeah, seriously.
He was acting like he was just, it was Game 7 of the NBA Finals out there. Sorry. No, I'm not sorry, Celtics fans, if you're watching. Yeah, he played really well. He's playing with a lot of energy. He looks pretty good so far, which I don't know what that says about this team, is that he looks like one of the better players on the team. But yeah, it's encouraging to see him play well, and obviously he'll get some minutes moving forward. But the Lakers defense, it's still atrocious. Matt, you didn't get to watch the game, but there were so many breakdowns that resulted in uncontested layups and dunks for the Heat, and Hassan Whiteside just could not be stopped. It was absurd. Roy Hibbert had his hands full all night, but yeah, defense is still terrible. Lakers still have a long way to go. But one guy who wasn't terrible on defense, actually, was the number 2 overall pick in last year's draft, D'Angelo Russell. He was guarding Goran Dragic tonight. I thought that was going to be a tough matchup for him because Dragic runs a lot of pick and rolls. He's a pretty quick guy, and he's just a good point guard. But Russell played him really well tonight. What have you noticed, Matt, just throughout these first 7 games? what Russell's been able to do defensively.
Yeah, I mean that was a big knock on him. Everyone was talking about his defense and like if he'd be able to stay in front of guards. And I think he's done better than what people were saying before this season. Obviously he's not like an elite defender. I mean, at least not yet in his career. But I thought he's been able to hang. I mean, with the exception of maybe a couple of games, but like for the most part, he's been able to hang with opposing point guards relatively well in the limited amount of time that he's been able to play.
Yeah, no question. That was, like you said, that was one of the question marks with him coming in was his defense. And I think, with him being at Ohio State, he had to do so much for that team that he kind of took some defensive possessions off, which, the Lakers have a certain star player that's done that for a few years now, but we won't get into that. But I think Russell's physical tools give him a lot of potential on defense because of his size. He's a 6'5" point guard. He's got surprisingly pretty long arms. And he's actually been forcing turnovers. He's racked up a few steals, especially here late. Let me look at his numbers from today. Okay, so he only forced one steal today, but when you look at Dragic's numbers, this isn't all Russell, obviously, but Dragic was in 29 minutes he scored 4 points on 2 of 10 shooting.
Wow.
And he had 5 rebounds and 3 assists. So I mean, he was plus 23 and plus or minus, but just about everybody. I mean, the entire Heat starting 5 was plus in that stat. But yeah, Russell played. I mean, he played extremely well defensively. He was fighting over screens, and it's really encouraging. What he's able to do, and what do you think he needs to do? Obviously, through natural development, but defensively, do you think he can become? I don't want to say an elite defender, but a very good defender still.
I think he can become a viable defender on a team where it's not like something that is a complete like flaw in the starting lineup. I think he can hold his ground. Maybe or even longer. But I think eventually his potential is to become a viable defender, which a lot of people didn't think was. A lot of people said it wasn't even probably possible before the draft, but I think he can do it.
I will say one thing. Everybody brings up Jahlil Okafor. D'Angelo Russell's already miles ahead of him defensively. I know they play different positions, but Okafor has a long, long way to go defensively. Although he's great on offense, I'll give him that. He's played phenomenal on that end. And Russell's kind of still trying. Yeah, definitely. And it's a different position. I wrote about it, so it's on the site if you guys want to read that. But yeah. Obviously, the man – okay, so Russell's not getting playing time in the fourth quarter. If that's news to you, then you really haven't been following along this year. He played 21 minutes tonight, and he seems to be right around the 20 to 24-minute mark, while these other rookies seem to be getting about 30 minutes plus. Is there any reason to bench D'Angelo Russell in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about this at every show, and I've thought of like what can be like a logical reasoning behind it, and I don't get it. I mean, Byron Scott had a quote tonight. I don't remember exactly what it was, but he said it was like the game was out of hand, so he didn't even consider bringing Russell in. But like that makes no sense. Why not? Why not just even? It doesn't matter what the score is. Just like throw him out there in the fourth and let's see what he can do. It's just I don't see anything, man. I've thought about it.
That quote was so hilarious to me because he thought that it wasn't necessary to put Russell back out there, but he puts Huertas, another rookie, and Anthony Brown out there. So it's like you're putting 2 other rookies out there.
Okay, wow. I didn't know he threw Anthony Brown late.
And he had Brandon Bass and Nick Young and Lou Williams out there for the majority of the fourth quarter. It's like those guys are not your future. D'Angelo Russell is your future. Why is he not out there? And I mean, I know it was a blowout and like he's a starter and all that, but this is the seventh game of his career. You've got to get him game experience. And Matt Moore of CBS Sports, he brought up a quote from Mike Malone, the head coach of the Denver Nuggets, basically just talking about getting Emmanuel Mudiay game reps. He was their pick this year at number 7, and talking about how game experiences can really help him and really help him grow up as a player. And you had Byron Scott recently say that most development happens in practice. So they're complete opposites, and one coach is going to obviously probably get more results sooner out of Mudiay than Scott is out of Russell. Matt, what do you think is I mean, obviously, I think we agree that games are more important in terms of development. What is it about games that helps rookies, grow and mature as a player?
Well, you learn from every game that you play in. I mean, Kobe would probably even say this for sure, even in his rookie year, even a limited amount of, game playing time he saw, the Utah game is what everyone points to. He had those 4 air balls in the playoffs. He had the guts to take them, first of all, which no one else on the team would even shoot the ball. But then after the game, they fly back to LA and he shoots all night, and the season's over. Like they were eliminated. So it's like that one game, like kind of even like changed Kobe. Like who knows? He obviously would have probably ended up being great anyways, but like that game changed his mindset and everything. And that's just one example. So it's just like the experience is huge. Just getting comfortable out there. The college game and the NBA game's so different that, Russell is still a kid. So the more you throw him out there, the more comfortable he's going to be. It's just simple as that.
Right. And, I'm a firm believer that, practice is important in development, but you cannot replicate a game situation in a practice. You can try, but you're just not going to. The intensity is a totally different level. The speed is just faster. And yeah, I mean, you put them in those situations so that when they see them again, that they're ready for them. It's all about that experience, and you're not going to be able to duplicate that in practice. I don't care how many sprints you make them run or whatever you want to do, Byron, but you've got to get this kid some playing time, especially in the fourth quarter. Especially in a season like this where the Lakers aren't expected to do much. They're not going to be a playoff team or anything like that. Just get the kid some game reps, please, for the love of everything that is holy. Just throw him out there in the fourth quarter for more than 2 minutes. So, along with us, everybody doesn't like Byron Scott right now. I don't know if there's a single Byron Scott supporter out there other than James Whitney. Yeah. But so we talked about this before we went on, and I think it's an interesting question. Who is the most hated coach since Phil Jackson? Mike Brown, Mike D'Antoni, or Byron Scott?
It's a great question. I didn't think Mike Brown would get topped. I think from a coaching standpoint, I think it's definitely Byron Scott. And it's really like this year is like taking it off. Before this year, I probably would have said Mike Brown. But with seeing Twitter and everyone's reactions, I think this trumps Mike Brown even more. I think the hate for Byron Scott trumps Mike Brown. So I would say it's between Byron Scott and Mike Brown, and I'd probably lean towards Byron Scott.
Yeah, it's crazy to think between all those three that D'Antoni is probably third on that list in terms of most hated, because a
lot of people are appreciating D'Antoni more after he's gone, me included, and I think that definitely is part of it.
Oh yeah, no question. I mean, I've said this a number of times. If we had Mike D'Antoni with D'Angelo Russell, oh my Lord, his development would be just rapid. He'd be a stud. Like I would have no worries about him. I have some concerns about Russell's psyche right now, just because he's playing hard. He didn't have a great game offensively, but he's playing hard on the defensive end, and he's not being rewarded for it. So he's basically left wondering what he has to do. And they actually asked him about that. Too. Yeah, he's a 19-year-old kid, and you're toying with this kid's emotions. Yeah. And they actually asked him after the game, and he said, I've got to figure out what I have to do to get out there. And they asked him, has Byron told you, what you need to do to get out there? And he just said point blank, no, he hasn't. So, I mean, Byron, get it together, man. Let's go. Yeah. So, I mean, we've talked about Byron plenty. We're going to transition now to questions from our fans, which, surprise, surprise, are just about all about Byron. All right, so the first question is from friend of the show, friend of the site, contributes for the site, Jacob Rude. Jacob asked, and of course this was probably directed at me since I live in Boise, Idaho, and the geese are a problem here. Could a geese coach better than Byron? First off, Jacob, I'm disappointed in you. Geese is plural, okay? So, I mean, yes, probably, because they have the the Geese power because there's multiple, but like I'm a North Carolina fan. We're supposed to be the ones that take like the easy classes or just don't go. You're the Duke fan. You're supposed to be smart. So you're better than that, Jacob. Come on. Matt, did you want to answer that question? Is a Goose better than Byron Scott?
No, you got it. You nailed it.
I mean, they are pretty strict. Like, they're pretty mean. They might be meaner than Byron. So, all right. So, on to a serious question. And we've answered this a little bit before. What are some good head coaching candidates to replace Byron Scott if he is fired? First, we'll talk about midseason. If the Lakers decide to actually go out and get somebody else to jump in there.
Midseason's hard because it's like I'm waiting for Luke Walton to become available, and so I can't even like who's available for like an option to even be an option during midseason.
The one guy that comes to my mind is Tom Thibodeau because he's not coaching anywhere right now, so I guess he's free. And that, I mean, honestly, I have my worries about Thibodeau because of how, the minutes that he plays his guys. But at this point, if he wants to play D'Angelo Russell 45 minutes a game, by all means, man, just go.
21.
Yeah. So Thibodeau's not a perfect candidate, but I mean, I think he's still a heck of a coach. He's got his flaws, but he's still a damn good coach. So I think if the Lakers decided to go with a change mid-season, that's probably their best option. But we'll talk about after the season because I think Byron will probably make it through this season somehow.
Or even if he doesn't make it, I feel like they'd use an interim coach and then ride that through the season. And
right.
Let's permanent.
Let's just pray it's not Mark Madsen though. Like,
gosh, no.
Unless he's gonna bust out the dance moves on the sideline, like I'd welcome that.
Yeah.
If he's gonna do that,
that's an exception.
Give him a 5-year deal. So after the season, you mentioned Luke Walton. Was there any other guys that come to mind?
I mean, it'll depend on who else is available because there's other coaches on the hot seat too. But Luke, I feel like is the one that everyone's talking about right now, and I'm on board from the limited amount of seen I've seen him. He just seems like a good fit. We've all mentioned his high basketball IQ. I think the players would all love if he was the coach. But you got any other ones that you've thought of?
Yeah, I like Luke. I want to see him a little bit more throughout the course of this season. Yeah. I mean, he's done a great job. The Warriors are playing phenomenal basketball, like almost historical basketball right now. So, he's not screwing things up, so that's a plus. But I mean, that team is uber talented. So, I mean, basically anybody that's under Greg Popovich right now. Just go get somebody off the San Antonio staff. Torrey Messina comes to mind. He's a well-respected coach overseas, and he's an assistant coach now for the Spurs, obviously. He's a really, really, really sharp basketball mind, and like I said, won a ton of games overseas, and would be, I think, a great guy to look at. But I think the theme that we would have is to go get a guy that's an assistant coach right now that hasn't had the head coaching experience. Let's get somebody that can kind of grow as a coach with this young core group, right?
Mm-hmm. I agree. Yeah, no, I mean, I'd be on board for any of those. An assistant would probably be a better fit than someone that's already had a head coaching job and like it failed.
Right. Because I mean,
Thibodeau might be the exception to that because it didn't really fail. They just kind of couldn't get over the hump there in Chicago. Right.
And there was a lot of turmoil and stuff like that. But a name that people have thrown out there is Mark Jackson, and I'm not a huge fan of his. I mean, the Warriors were good under him, and if you want to give him credit for developing them, that's fine, whatever. But when you watch them play under Mark Jackson, it was a lot of ISO ball, relying on talent to make shots, which, I mean, when you have the Warriors' talent, it works. They were a playoff team in the West, but I thought it was no coincidence that once Steve Kerr went in there, started preaching ball movement, all of a sudden they were a 65 or 67 win team last year. So there was a noticeable increase there. All right, so we're done with the head coaching candidates. There's some guys out there, but we'll cross that bridge when we get there, obviously. So the next question we have is obviously the odds of keeping the top 3 pick this year are very, very slim. You even if you're the worst team in the league, you're not guaranteed to keep that pick. And we saw the Knicks last year be the second worst team and drop to 4th, which, that would be enough for the Lakers to lose their pick if that would happen. But do you think the Lakers should still tank this year and try and get the pick?
No, I don't think so. I mean, definitely not at this stage. It's just such a long shot. Like, even if you have the worst record or the second worst record, you're not guaranteed it. So you just have to play with the odds. And I just think what they should do is play the young, the draft picks, Russell, Randall, Clarkson, and then just live with the results. And I think that's all we're looking for. Just as long as the young players can develop, make some type of progress that in terms of the future, I can live with whatever record that we end up with.
Yeah, I mean, this goes back to what we've been talking about for weeks, if not months now. I don't think you really focus on tanking. Like last year was pretty obvious because you had a lot of veteran players on that team. Obviously, you had Clarkson kind of emerge midway through the season, and you wanted to focus on his development. But this is totally different because you have Randall, because you have Russell, you have obviously Clarkson, Larry Nance, Anthony Brown, a lot of young pieces in place there. I think the Lakers, I mean, really the mindset hasn't changed for me personally. Just develop the young guys. If you win games, that's great. If you're bad enough to get, to keep your top 3 pick, amazing. But the key here is to just get those young guys to improve each and every day. And you want to see him just have an upward projection, kind of like Andrew Wiggins did last year, because he started out real slow, but he got better each and every month. So I think ultimately that's what you're shooting for.
And to add, next year's draft is really top heavy. So if we keep the pick, we're getting a stud no matter what. But then from what everyone says, the 2017 draft is way deeper. And I'm assuming we're probably going to be in the lottery in that too. So if we keep the pick for that year, we're probably going to get a really good player there too.
Yeah. This draft, when I look at the draft boards, it's very top heavy, where it's the top maybe 5-6 guys or so, and then there's a noticeable drop off. Like this last draft back in June. I mean, man, if you were in the top 10, it was really hard to go wrong with your pick. There was a lot of talent, and then it was deep as well. There was talented players deeper in the draft too. So this draft is a little different. So I wouldn't mind losing the pick in a draft class like this, where it's just the top guys are really the touted prospects, obviously. But yeah, everything I've heard as well is next year's draft is a lot deeper, and who knows what the Lakers pick would be. But if they lose this year's pick, then they will they'll be guaranteed to have their 2017 draft first-round pick no matter what. So that's obviously something to keep an eye on. Okay, so Matt, you didn't get to watch the game. Did you get a chance to see a Vine?
Yeah, I did.
Of Huertas and his ridiculous attempt to beat the shot.
That was pretty bad. I saw that.
What were your thoughts first and foremost on that? What were your
I guess it's better than a shot clock violation. Is it? I don't know if it is, but I mean, I guess he attempted at least to try to get a shot off, but clearly it wasn't the best idea. But it was really, he had no other choice, I guess.
He looked in that situation. He looked like a 3-year-old in the mall, looking for his parents, just like a long lost puppy, just looking around for somebody to hug him.
Yeah,
that was one of the worst things, and it's bad when that the Vines and the memes or whatever are coming. It's really bad. But one of the regular question askers, I should say, one of the fans of the show, Master Red Snappa, never fails. He asked, should Huertas win Rookie of the Year for his shots or be departed from Earth?
Oof, that's tough. I mean, I guess you can throw him. I don't know if you can throw. Is it bad enough to throw him off the planet? That's the question, really.
It was pretty bad, man.
It's pretty bad. Yeah, I don't know if I can give him Rookie of the Year after that. Yeah, I'd probably get him off Earth.
If he would have made it, I would have bought a plane ticket.
Oh, give him Rookie of the Year.
And I would have just I would have started like a movement to give him Rookie of the Year right then and there. But yeah, that thing ended up like 7 feet short. Sorry, Huertas. Looks like you're going to be exiled from Earth. So
yeah, hopefully Mars is ready to go.
All right, and then the last question that we have: why is Byron still crossing his arms?
I don't know. People give him a hard time for that, but don't most people cross their arms? Like maybe not to the extent that he does, but if you're just standing there, like where do you put your arms?
I know. Okay, so I'm going to defend Byron here. I stand with my arms crossed a lot, and I have no shame. It is comfortable. It's comfortable. I feel weird when I'm just standing there with my arms to my side. Like my hands either got to be in my pockets or I got to have my arms crossed or something. So I'll give him that. But I think more times than not, his arms are crossed because he's trying to figure out just what the hell is going on.
Yeah.
I remember Ryan Kellepier screenshotted in the Nets game, the Lakers, the 5-second call that they got late in the game there, crucial possession because they were only up by 3. And as the Nets are trying to inbound the ball, Byron's standing there just with his arms crossed, looking like trying to figure out where he's at. Yeah.
He's more times than not he's crossing his arms, but can't really blame him. Like hands in the pocket would be. I feel like it would look weirder.
I'm gonna have to kind of just watch other coaches and see what they do when they're just standing there, not like giving directions, because. I remember the Dallas game. I was watching Rick Carlisle, and he's like literally shouting and pointing, telling guys where to go. And then the camera pans over to the left, and there's Byron with his arms crossed.
What did Phil do? What's Phil doing when he
Phil just always sat down. Phil just
I think he was sitting.
I don't think Phil ever showed emotion. I mean, he might have smiled a couple times, but yeah, Phil was just stone faced. I mean, yeah. All right, so on the note of crossing arms, that's I think that's going to do it for us. Matt, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
Yeah, actually, quick question for you on the game. So Julius Randle and Lou Williams were the only people that shot free throws tonight. I thought that was interesting. Were we just not as aggressive, or?
Not really. I mean, it was a lot of jump shots. The second quarter was the Swaggy P show. He was actually phenomenal in the second quarter. He was shooting a lot of threes, but he was just on fire and single-handedly got the Lakers back in the game. But, I mean, I don't know how many threes they shot tonight, but they shot a lot of long twos. Didn't attack the basket much because, I mean, when they did, Hassan Whiteside was waiting for everything. Clarkson had, a number of struggles. He did a good job of using his body, but Whiteside is just so athletic and so long that he still had problems finishing. So I think you got to give credit to Hassan Whiteside just for disrupting the Lakers' offense and forcing them to settle for jump shots.
We'll save it for another podcast, but we got to talk about Hassan Whiteside and where he's playing next year, or where we think he's going to be next year.
I tweeted out from the account during the game that Hassan Whiteside's going to look good in purple and gold next year. And far too many people took the tweet seriously. So if you're watching this, it was a joke. Hassan Whiteside is probably not going to be a Laker next year. But if he is, you bet I'm going to bring up that tweet and told you that I can see the future. So
called it.
All right. So anything else, Matt?
No.
Nope. All right. Well, we were going to have some rookies, some of our rookies on the podcast tonight. Well, at least one of them, but we decided to bench them since it's the fourth quarter. So, yeah, that's going to do it for us. Thanks to everybody that tuned in. Thanks to everybody that sent us questions. Keep sending us those questions. You can send them to us even when we're not getting ready to go on the podcast. I'll try and take note of them, and we'll answer them on future podcasts. And just keep them coming. Thanks again, guys, for watching, and thanks, Matt, for joining me. And we'll see you guys later.